Hey everyone, DisturbedShadow here, bringing you a new album review. Today I'm going to be talking about another album that came out 10 years ago. Now, I'm a bit behind on this one because a lot of life stuff came up, and I wanted to put this out on the actual release date 10 years later, but it didn't happen. But today we're going to be talking about an album that turned 10 a little over a week ago, and that is the third album from Killswitch Engage entitled The End of Heartache. Now, this is a very, very, very good album, and it is one of the albums that sort of put metalcore on the map and sort of put it out to a broader audience than it had been previously too exposed to earlier stuff from Killswitch and some other bands. But the song really was one of the ones that was instrumental in popularizing. So let's go in and dive in and take a look. So the first thing I want to know on this album is that there are a few lineup changes on this one. Most notably, Adam switched over from drums to guitar, and Justin came in on drums. And of course, Jesse Leach left the band and was replaced with Howard Jones on vocals. So it was sort of a very hard thing to do for fans to sort of get used to a new vocalist, but he did a very, very good job of bringing forth the new era of Killswitch Engage, and it is a very, very solid album. So let's just talk about some of my favorite tracks. So the album opens up with the heavy-hitting A Bid Farewell, which has this really sort of start-stop drums in the beginning, and then just really big, heavy bass lines. And then the guitars and stuff come in with that sort of very well-recognized opening riff that sort of is really introduces the album, and they open with this song a lot when they perform live, but it's a very powerful way to introduce the album. And then it comes in with Howard on vocals, is just very powerful screaming before moving into the more melodic chorus, or it sort of really showcases what Howard can do on vocals with his very powerful, clean singing voice and his very harsh, powerful screams. He sort of introduces new people to the new sound of Killswitch, and does a very good job of doing it. This song definitely showcases his vocal talents. Next song I want to talk about is the second track, entitled Take This Oath, which has a guest vocal performance from Jesse, just to show fans that there was no bad blood between the old vocalist and the new vocalist. And I absolutely love this song. The dynamic between Jesse and Howard on vocals on this track is fantastic. You know, it starts off with Howard on the harsh vocals, and Jesse does some clean singing in the chorus. And then in the second chorus, they sort of alternate with Howard doing backup screams in the background. It has a very, really cool dynamic to it. And then later it moves into really, after a sort of breakdowny kind of thing, and then it moves into a more powerful, harsh vocals from Howard. And then it showcases Howard's clean singing voice at the end too, to sort of contrast it with Jesse's more high-range singing, and more, because Howard's voice is a lot deeper than Jesse's is, but the way that their two voices work together in this song is fantastic. Plus, there's some phenomenal guitar work on this song, with some really catchy guitar riffing from both Adam and Joel on guitars. So sort of does a really good job of showcasing what the new Killswitch Engage is doing. And then the third track I want to talk about is the third track on the album, entitled When Darkness Falls, which was the first track released with Howard since he joined the band, and then they went and put it on the album because it was the new song that everyone knew from Howard, and then it's sort of a way to pull people in. But I really like the way this song is. There's a really, really, really heavy guitar work on this album, really heavy intro riff, and then going more melodic in the chorus. And what I like about this is that Adam's doing some backup vocals on the chorus, and it has a nice dynamic similar to how Howard and Jesse's voice contrasted each other and worked well together on Take This Oath. Howard and Adam's voices do this again, and then, as you've seen on later releases, they sort of play this up more and do that, but it was sort of started on this album was when they started doing the sort of almost a two-vocalist approach, but not quite, since Howard's still doing most of the work on that. But the way this song comes together is really good. Next song I want to talk about is one of my personal favorite Killswitch songs, and this is probably true for a lot of people. It was one of their biggest hits, which is the Rose of Sharon. I absolutely love this song. Just everything about this song is phenomenal. The guitar work, the bass work, the drumming, and sort of the way the parts alternate between each other, with the more hard-hitting verse, and then the build up to the chorus, and then that like really catchy chorus line where it's like, "It won't be long, we'll meet again." You know, that whole really amazing, uplifting chorus. And I love everything about the song. The lyrics are fantastic. The vocals are, the way they progress is wonderful. Or it's more screaming, and then it's singing, and then it's harder singing, and then it repeats, and then it goes and it adds the layer of the chorus with a big melodic chorus that just pulls you in and makes you want to sing along with it. And it just gets the crowd going every time I've seen them live. This is just a fantastic song. And then just the way it fades out into the short instrumental entitled "Inhale" at the end, just has a really nice flow to it, which then flows into the following songs. This part of the album, the middle part of the album, all the songs sort of flow well from one into the other. So the next song I want to talk about is the 6th track called "Breathe Life." What's interesting about this song is the first Killswitch song to feature a guitar solo. It's a very short thing, but it fits well in the song. It's a short little fast shredding solo before the song gets heavy again. But I like the way this song sort of flows together with that interesting solo, which we don't see a lot from them until their latest album, which came out last year, where they went overboard with the solos, which was cool. But it's nice to see them mix things up a little bit and include a solo on this album. The next song I want to talk about is another very big Killswitch Engage hit, which is the title track entitled "The End of Heartache." This is the ballad of the album, if you could call it that, since there is a lot of screaming parts in this. But I absolutely love this song. From that instantly recognizable guitar riff that it's just beautiful, the melody on that guitar riff, I just love it. And then the really wonderful vocal performance from Howard with just the big, powerful choruses with the big, melodic, deep singing that is undeniably Howard Jones. It's like, no one else sounds like that. It's just amazing. And then the very brutal screams that he's also capable of, and the way he alternates between the two of them on the two different vocal approaches on the song is very good. And just the whole way the song is put together is just wonderful, and it is one of the best Killswitch Engage songs out there. And they just blow me away with this song. It's an amazing song, and it's one of the best songs on the album. And the last song I want to talk about is the closing track entitled "Hope Is... I just really love the way this song comes in with this really powerful, crushing guitar riff, and then the really fast-paced drums. Just the whole way this song, it just comes out swinging at you, and then it pulls back into the catchy chorus where there's Howard singing, plus all the band members, plus I guess performance from Phil Labonte from All That Remains doing a gang vocal attack behind Howard's more melodic singing. And then the way this song pulls back into a breakdown, slows down, and then fades out with Howard singing "Hope Is" over and over again. Hope is not lost. And just the way his vocals on that song flow, just wonderful. And it sort of is a great way to close the album, where it comes in really aggressively and then it sort of fades out. And I just like the way that's all put together. So those are my favorite tracks on the album. So now let's go on and look at what each individual band member is doing. First, let's talk about Howard on vocals. Wow, this guy is amazing. As I mentioned several times when highlighting some tracks, Howard's clean vocals are really deep, powerful, and just very melodic sounding, and they just add this whole new level of power to Killswitch Engage. And then, he's got very, very, very good harsh vocals as well. And the way he transitions between the two of them and layers them together throughout this album is a very, very, it's a very well put together vocal approach. And as I mentioned before, the combination with Jesse and Adam on different parts also do a good job of mixing up the vocals throughout the song, and I just really like Howard's vocals overall. Now let's talk about Adam and Joel on guitars. These guys are a really good combo. They're good at getting the more thrashy sounding stuff, the more chuggy metalcore style riffs, and then the big melodic sound, which Killswitch Engage is known for, was really developed on this album, with songs like "The End of Heartache" and "Rose of Sharon" and "When Darkness Falls," really bringing in more big, catchy melodic riffs that really weren't in the previous albums. It was like the big change to what we sort of know now as Killswitch Engage, with that really, really melodic metalcore sound, and they do a really good job of that on this album. Mike on bass. There is just so much to talk about on the bass. It's big, it's loud, and you can hear it, and it's turned up really loud in the mix, which is what I like to hear. Plus, he's doing some interesting stuff with the bass, or he's not just following along with the guitars. Like in the opening to the album, A Bid Farewell, there's really, really in-your-face bass lines that are present throughout the whole song, with the big chugging bass lines that sort of pound your ears with this wonderful bassing. It's just the way the bass is on this song is perfect. And then there are moments throughout the song, or throughout the album, like Take This Oath and When Darkness Falls, where the big heavy bass shines. Then he pulls it back a bit more on songs like The End of Heartache, where it's more simplified bass and it's slowed down, and it works really well, the album. But throughout the entire album, he does a really good, with the exception of the more slowed down songs, he does a really good job of keeping pace with everyone. It's very fast and very nice sounding bass, and as I say, every album that has the bass turned up, I really like to hear that, because it adds another layer of depth and meat to the lower end of the album, which just makes it sound better, more what you'd expect from metal in general. Now let's talk about Justin on drums. The drums are a major improvement from their previous work. Justin does a really good job of introducing himself to new Killswitch Engage fans. There's just great drumming throughout. Really powerful, fast drumming with really good double bassing, and more technical stuff with different fills layered into when the songs transition from their different parts. And then he does stuff on like The End of Heartache, where it's more pulled back and simplified to fit the more ballad-like approach of the song. So he does a good job of doing different things throughout the album to keep things fresh, which is really awesome. And he's one of my favorite drummers in metal today, but he does a really good job on this album. So overall, this is one of the best albums that came out in 2004, and it still holds up very well today. So overall, I would say definitely check this album. This is a good album to introduce yourself to Killswitch Engage with. And if I had to give it a rating, I'd give it a 9 out of 10, because this is one of the best Killswitch Engage records out there. And I will see you guys in the next video.